Today in the crypto space, we see the market coming down for a dip, Bitcoin down to approximately $41,200 and Ethereum right around that $2,500 mark. The rest of the crypto space, the altcoins are also dipping down to those lower levels. Could we expect a continuation to the downside? In today's video, I want to look at the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about one altcoin, one project that could be looking for a nice retracement, and that project is called SEI. So you know what? Let's talk about the news. Let's analyze the charts and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome on the channel. We talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities. Whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. Hit me up on those socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here. The market is definitely coming down to slightly lower levels. Now, could we expect Bitcoin to come down further? Potentially. You know, it's very, very possible here that we see Bitcoin come down a little bit more. And the question is Ethereum going to follow Bitcoin's lead? But I think what's more important here is to what do we expect Ethereum to do when Bitcoin finds its bottom? We need to pay attention to the bullish reaction. So right now, Bitcoin is falling. Ethereum is following its lead. Of course, they're both falling pretty much at the same rate. The Bitcoin dominance is pretty stagnant. Guys, we'll talk about the Bitcoin dominance in the potential altcoin season that could be happening tonight at 7:30 Eastern. We'll take a look at all those factors, but at the current moment, we can see that both heavyweights of the market are following pretty much equally and dragging the entire market down. Guys, these are the fire sale opportunities that I've been talking about here on the channel for the last little while, and this is the reason why I've been saying make sure that you have stables, make sure that you've been collecting a bit of cash on the side, ready to deploy that dry powder just in case we do come down, because this could be the final dip before the Bitcoin run and ultimately the bull season. We want to see the bull move eventually. We got to see the green price action eventually, but in between we have to be prepared with those peaks and those valleys, because these dips that we see are meant to be bought. They're meant to be accumulated at. All right, so that's what we're going to be looking at. Definitely we're going to see this bull run come around the corner, and then we need to be prepared. Bitcoin coming down, Ethereum coming down. We see BNB kind of going sideways still, so showing a bit of strength here regardless. But as we continue going down the market quickly, you can see these larger cap altcoins are dipping, right? We have AVAX, Cardano, Polkadot kind of doing pretty good, not too bad, at least going sideways. Chainlink taking a nice dip, 10% to the downside, 5%, but we can't ignore the previous price action. At the end of the day, a lot of these altcoins that we're listing here have already ran up significantly. This is a retracement. We're not making lower lows at the current moment. We're just retracing after a nice rally to the upside. Some of these altcoins have been doing pretty well. You know, a bit of a retracement is absolutely normal to get those confirmation lows in before we get a continuation to the upside. So that's what we're going to be tracking here on the channels, these dips and opportunities where we could be accumulating at lower levels. We can see a lot of these projects are grinding to the downside. We have Cosmos dipping down. We have Injective dipping down. Optimism grinding to the downside. Many projects have been dipping down. And I am so glad at the current moment that my USDT, my stables are pretty much packed, ready to deploy, guys. This is what I've been doing, taking profits, protecting the gains, trailing up those stop losses, taking 10% off the tops on my short-term spot positions, and ultimately now getting back into the market based on these dips is the right way to do it. Buying low, selling high is the way you make the gains here, and taking full advantage of the dips. And you can see right now across the board, there's approximately, I would say, 5 to 10% dip. And of course, SEI right now is down approximately 15% for today. Guys, that's a significant dip for a very bullish project. However, guys, it could be further. It could be a continuation. This thing's been running significantly in the last little while. So we can expect a dip to be a lot heavier, a lot harder. And obviously looking for that horizontal support is going to be a long way away. So we're going to have to pay attention to that. And of course, today's video is all about SEI. We're going to take a look at the price action. We'll take a look at the general market here, and we'll take a look at Bitcoin to see if we can use it as a leading indicator to give us an idea of whether we think SEI is going to get its opportunity. Obviously, Ethereum has a lot to do with this equation. You know, we know that Ethereum at the end of the day is that leading indicator for the altcoin run. And if we get that altcoin season, Ethereum needs to show some strength versus Bitcoin. It has happened like that many times in the past. And of course, this time should not be different. We shouldn't think that it's going to be different this time because the trend is always your friend. And ultimately, we could see Ethereum take control of the market. And that's really what we want, especially if you've been scaling into some of these altcoins. And then eventually we'll see a recovery across the board of all these altcoins, including SEI. Right now, SEI is down approximately 15%, guys. Render coming down 5%, and a few projects definitely coming down. Still overall bullish, but these dips are getting real. Look at Thorchain down 14-15%, and as we keep on going down, you can see their overall consensus is about 5 to 10% to the downside. So we have to be prepared, guys, for these red days. These are the days that get me really excited. CFX looking strong, 5% pop to the upside, pretty good, not too bad, but generally speaking, guys, this market is in the red. Okay, now the question is, are we done with this reddish price action? Do we expect a further continuation? To be honest, I think what we should be doing is looking at, of course, Bitcoin and Ethereum. Ultimately, it's that relationship that I really want to focus on. So let's jump right into the Bitcoin chart for now. And tonight we'll talk about Ethereum, but you can see right now Bitcoin is showing us a bit of weakness. You know, if we don't hold this level, we're going to come down a lot faster and a lot harder soon. I know a lot of people are talking about, 41,500 or something like that. I saw a lot of good people online talking about it on X, but you know what, the reality is this is the moment. This is why I decided, you know what, let's start looking at dips very aggressively. Is because if Bitcoin doesn't hold this current level at about, I would say, 40,500, that's the level. That's the last line in the sand for me. We are going to snap all the way down to about 38. For me, 38 is the level to get a reaction. It doesn't mean that it's done. It just means that we could come down and expect Bitcoin to get a reactive move based on this dip, maybe get a dead cat bounce, maybe get that back test of a confirmation using the previous support as resistance to continue to the upside, and then continue falling over and rolling over, coming down to those lower levels. All of a sudden now we see a lot of people talking about a $31,000 Bitcoin. And guys, we've been talking about this here on the channel for so long, and all we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market here, because if it does happen, we are going to get fire sales across the board. Now, I know I've been preparing for this altcoin season, and one of the recipes for this altcoin season and in preparation for the altcoin season in this current state is that we always buy bottoms. Why? Because the retracements will be a lot less. If you buy the tops, the retracements if Bitcoin comes down are going to be a lot harder for those top gainers in the altcoin market. Why? Because they're a lot more volatile. They're a lot more, people will get a lot more fearful on those speculative assets, and the volatility will increase. So this is why it's important when you prepare for an altcoin season and you see Bitcoin looking a little bit sideways and a little bit weak, that you always look for the best and healthiest risk to reward ratio across the board. Okay, and that's what I've been emphasizing here on the channel for the last little while, and that's what I'm being very strict on, is only looking for bottom prices. That's all it is. Projects that have yet to run. Okay, so this is where we're at right now. If we do not hold support and it looks like Bitcoin's still pushing to the downside, it could be that we see Bitcoin get oversold here. If Bitcoin gets oversold in one red candle, it could happen, a huge dump down to lower levels. Guys, we have to quickly go into the altcoin market and see what kind of fire sales we have to take full advantage of the dip. Obviously, Bitcoin eventually is going to get its recovery, but I wouldn't be buying Bitcoin until we get that indicator, because ultimately altcoins could recover from a Bitcoin dip a lot faster. Bitcoin comes down, altcoins also come down, but then the recovery, that's what we want to pay attention to. Is Ethereum and the altcoins and basically going to recover a lot faster and a lot stronger than Bitcoin. If that's the case, altcoin season on. And of course, guys, we'll be tracking that day by day. As of now, Bitcoin not looking the greatest. It is at the bottom of the range. If you're a bull right now, I understand the thesis. The risk to reward ratio is great to get into a fresh long position. But with this Class A bearish divergence fully in play, guys, I am not too confident in getting into a long position. In fact, short would probably be the best bet. And in fact, if you're not interested in shorting, I would be waiting and just wait patiently for that dip and then start looking for accumulation phases across the market. All right, guys, let's move on. Let's take a look at SEI. Of course, today's video is about SEI. What is going on here with SEI? We got a bit of a dip here, guys. A nice red candle to the downside. I know a lot of you are bullish on SEI, and so am I. I'm bullish on crypto altogether. And I call this a nice dip, and it's just because I am bullish. I want to buy more. I want to accumulate more. I'm not bearish. I am long-term bullish. However, I want to be bearish in the short term. And if you are bullish, you also want to be bearish in the short term. Why? Because you want to buy those dips. And what I'm really looking for is an accumulation phase here, or some sort of phase in this level that we see a volume spike. This could be a sell-off. This could also be a distribution where we do get volume here as a distribution phase. And it would be absolutely normal. Why? Because we see a higher highs in the price action. Show you what I mean. Exclude the wicks in this analysis. When you look for divergence, you exclude wicks, and you can see that we are also making an exaggerated divergence here by making an extreme higher high, another higher high right here. You can see that right there. And if you couple this up and you look at what the RSI is doing, you're basically double topping on all this price action on momentum, which is a Class C bearish divergence, and then you're making higher highs in the price action and lower highs on the RSI right here on the tail end, which is basically a Class A bearish divergence. Guys, it looks like it's diverging. It looks like it wants to come down to lower levels. Price action hasn't yet confirmed this, but we're seeing a sense of sentiment in the momentum that it could be coming down. Guys, the MACD as a sense of trend, reversal, it is right now looking a bit bearish. EMAs are definitely crossed over. EMAs are facing down. Histogram bars are nice and red. It does look like maybe this trend wants to get into the bearish control zone and eventually come down to this level. Guys, if it does, expect those dips across the market. Now, obviously, this is about SEI. Where do we expect support? Really, what I like to do here is wait for some more data, because we could consolidate here for a little while. The bulls are going to have their thesis. Their thesis is, let's see if this is a bull flag. Bull flag all the way. Let's go sideways, and then eventually a continuation to the upside. Extension levels are right here at around $1, $1.10. These are good levels to take profit. But given the momentum, given the MACD, given the other confluent indicators, could I feel a lot confident after a huge run to the upside, right? It's a pretty big run, you got to admit. Percentage-wise, we're talking about from the bottom, the majority of the accumulation was down here. So let's put it right here. To the top, we're looking at about a 500% run, guys. That's a 5x, and we've just begun, right? So it's pretty big. It's pretty good. This is a juicy move. Now, wouldn't it be nice to see a little bit of a retracement to confirm a bit of a back test so that we can get healthy price action in this and give a little bit of an opportunity to accumulate at lower levels? Now, what would happen here? What would require me to actually start looking this as an opportunity? Obviously, there's a bit of weakness right into here. It's not clear weakness. Why? Because there's a lot of chop within the volume. You can see a little bit of chop sideways price action right here, and it definitely translates in the volume profile, a lot of little choppiness, which means that if we do fall into this level, which little bump along the road is going to act as support? The reality is I'm looking at the biggest and the most confluent, and it's probably down here. This is where I would really be active and interested. We got a bigger empty gap here. We got a pretty decent gap right here. We also got one right here. Which one do we buy? Which one do we wait for? You know what? I think it's best to wait for the daily RSI to get oversold first. Then what we start doing is looking for horizontal supports. Of course, these are all great horizontal supports. If we do come down to that level, I know a lot of bulls right now are not going to be liking what I'm saying, but I have to be true to the analysis and to the TA. This is very weak price action, very low volume price action right here in this level. All of this area right here is not very convincing. This level is looking pretty good. It looks like it's trying to make some sort of accumulation or level of support, but not confirmed yet unless we break above it and back test it and continue to the upside. So as of now, it could be a complex pattern of a distribution. Maybe we get a head and shoulders, maybe an inverse cup and handle, inverse Adam and Eve, whatever it is, an M pattern that eventually rolls over For that matter, it could even be a Bart Simpson. We can go sideways here for the next little while within this zone, fill up this volume, and then finally just come down for a quick dip, and then we reaccumulate. Again, where do we buy these dips? Guys, wait for the daily to get oversold. That's a good indication. And of course, the MACD give us at least one EMA cross to the upside with a green histogram bar, and then I'm interested. So right now, in my opinion, is not the time to get into a fresh long. Even if we do get into a little bit of a rally here as a bounce or something like that, we get to the $1 mark. I think a lot of people right now are really shaking with their positions and worried about whether they should be taking profit. Okay, let's get into lower time frames here for a second. You can see what's happening here. You know, it's slowly grinding, then getting the sell-off, grinding, sell-off, grinding, sell-off, and slightly upward sloping, sure. But what's going to happen when we get to the double top? Are we going to get a quicker sell-off? And the divergence is still here. The 4 hours not even oversold either, and the MACD on the 4-hour EMA are facing down with red histogram bars. Both the 4-hour and the daily are showing a significant amount of bearishness for a continuation to the downside. And look at the empty gap now. You can see it a little bit more clearly that the gap right now is, although, you know, there's some choppiness, the reality is it's nothing in comparison to what's happening here. There's a lot more volume up here and a lot more volume down here. This is the weak spot right now. So if we do fall, expect a bit of, you know, a few peaks and valleys along the way as we do grind to the downside. But I would be happy to buy the dip around 45 cents, guys. 45 cents for me is good. Obviously, nothing is confirmed. We can even probably get support at 50 cents. Again, let's at least wait for the 4-hour to get oversold with nice class A bullish divergence at horizontal support, and then we can make a decision whether we're going to play the 4-hour for a short, quick bounce to the upside. It could even be a dead cat bounce, and then let's see what happens when the daily gets oversold. We can start accumulating for a longer term hold for the bull run with a bigger position, with a lot more confidence that ultimately we're getting ready for a bigger wave to the upside. And as a momentum trader, that is when I will get in a lot more heavier when I see oversold conditions here on say. I know it's super bullish. It might not actually even get to the extreme zones of oversold conditions here on the daily, but at least give me a little bit of a dip so I know I didn't buy the tops. Guys, do not buy the tops. Wait for retracements. Wait for good levels of horizontal support. And that way, no matter what happens with this market in the next little while, at least you know you have bought the bottoms and you're not buying tops, and the retracements won't be that hard. Guys, if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor and slap the like button. I'm going to be live tonight at 7:30 Eastern talking about crypto news and price action. It is a great time and place to make those requests of any projects that you want me to cover. I will definitely put them in top priority. Guys, join that Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.